Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Brian Poduska. I'm Lyndon Wilson, the creator of The Difference, as you can see there on the bottom of the screen. For those of you who have not seen our show yet, we have several different shows, different themes for shows. They all are centered around small businesses, entrepreneurs, and the communities which they work in and how they impact those communities. But each one of our show hosts kind of carries on a different theme and a different approach to their questions and the people that they're interviewing. We created this a little over a year ago, about a year and a half, I guess now, and we have grown it tremendously. And we really are appreciative of all the people that watch, tune in, comment, share, follow us on our social media channels. We do appreciate that because it helps us get the message out that we're trying to deliver about the people that are making the difference within those communities. Brian's going to have a guest on. I'm going to introduce Brian here in just a second, but Brian's going to have a guest on today that works within a local community. Brian's area that we are focusing on is the Frisco, McKinney, Prosper, and the Colony area. We've got some really exciting news about Brian's show coming up pretty soon. We probably won't be sharing that today, but it will be very, very soon. So I'm going to go ahead and get Brian in here. Brian's had a super busy day. Really appreciate his commitment to this show and to The Difference. And let's bring Brian in now. How you doing, Brian?
I am doing well. I'm
you look like you're ready to grab. Today. Yeah, it looks like you're ready to grab the fishing pole and head out.
Yeah,
I bet you wish that was it.
This is my painting and yard work outfit right now, which is what I've been doing for the last, I don't know, probably 24 hours. It feels like. Yeah, we've it is anybody in the real estate industry knows it's a busy time of year right now. We have been just stretched super thin to the point where it's all hands on deck. So I was up till 4 a.m. this morning at one of our properties that we have to have ready for move in on Friday, so tomorrow. And it has some painting to get done, some serious yard work to get done, an interior clean to make sure that it's spick and span and ready for the new tenants. So we've got a bunch of properties on market and they're all coming together at the same time. So you know what? Hey, you got to do what you got to do in this world. So here I am. I've got grass on my shirt. I've got paint specks on my face. I've got puffy eyes because I have slept like 2 hours. So, hey, it's good to take a break and hop on the show.
Yeah. Well, if I'm a property investor and I'm listening to this and watching this, I'm probably going to want to give you a call because that's that type of person that I'm looking for to work with, that's so committed and ready to get things done like that. Make sure all the properties are ready. We do have all your information scrolling at the bottom for everybody to see that might be interested if you're a property investor. But tell everybody that's watching what you do, who you help, and make sure they know how to get in touch with you before we bring your guest on.
For sure. Yeah. So we are Real Property Management Focus, where we focus on your real estate investments. We are a full service property management company. And what I mean by full service is we can help you as an investor on the front end, identify a property, run full analytics on it. We have an awesome tool called Wealth Optimizer that looks at an investment, a potential investment from all different angles. So it analyzes it holistically, not just looking at cash flow. We take into account tax depreciation you can take on that property, localized market specific and really neighborhood specific appreciation that you're going to see. And it runs the numbers out, whatever time horizon you want to take a look at. So it's very flexible and it's very holistic approach and look at analyzing a potential investment. So that's on the front end. Obviously, the management piece of it, we handle the middle, but we can identify that property. We can purchase it for you. We're a full service brokerage, so we can do purchases and sales. We do the management piece, obviously, in the middle. So rent collection, maintenance coordination, make ready, which is what you're seeing on my shirt right now, the nitty gritty dirty work. And then, up through disposition of the property when you're ready to sell and get out. This is a seller's market right now, and there's been a lot of investors who have had investment property for quite some time that said, you know what, it's time for me to get out, or reshuffle my deck a little bit, liquidate some of the assets and get into something bigger. So that's been a popular move lately, which has created a little bit of a it's almost exacerbated the problem a little bit, where everybody's talked about the supply being low on the sales side, which is true, which is causing increased prices, obviously, and because of that, investors are selling and leases are coming up right about now. This is kind of the popular transition for a lease, and so if an investor is selling their property, the tenant has to go find someplace else to go if their lease is up, and there's fewer and fewer rental properties in the market as well. So it's created kind of the trickle-down effect from the sales market being tight. It's also being we're seeing that on the rental side as well. So it's made for a very interesting and quite a few sleepless nights in the property management world and the real estate world in general.
I'm sure. Well, I have, while you've been talking, I was running and scrolling your information at the bottom also, and I know you'll mention them at some point, but I did scroll your sponsors of your show, Greg Holberg, Daniel Cook, Kerry Cook, two separate businesses, two great people, but I wanted to make sure that people have seen that as well. But I know that you don't have much time today because you got to get the paintbrush back in your hand. But so I want, if you're ready, talk a little bit about your guest and let me know when you want me to bring him in.
Yeah, for sure. So our guest today, I teased out on the announcement on Facebook there, but I teased out the topic is something that nobody really wants to talk about or doesn't really think about, and really just doesn't want to think about it, right? But it's something we all need to think about, and that topic is long-term care. So whether it be for our parents or more importantly for ourselves, and taking burden off our children as we age and the population ages. Our guest today, Matt, is he's in my Master Networks chapter on Tuesdays, and I've seen several of his presentations and gotten to know him and his business a bit. And every time I see the data that he shows and some of the offerings that he has, it opens my eyes and gets me thinking about the long-term care aspect and how expensive it can be as we age and health deteriorates. And no matter how well you're doing on saving for retirement, whether it be through a 401k or whatever IRA type situation you have, or through real estate, of course, you can amass a pretty decent amount of wealth over the course of your younger life. But as you get older and health starts to fail, that wealth can be chewed up and eaten up pretty quickly. So right. Matt, I asked him to share a few statistics. We can get into some of the details there, but I wanted to bring Matt on just to talk about what his offerings are. He doesn't do just long-term care, but so he can talk about some of those things as well. But the fact that my eyes are always open by the long-term care aspect, I wanted him to talk about that and just socialize that with our audience as well. So yeah, bring Matt in and let's say hello. What's up, Matt?
Everybody.
How are you, man?
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for being on. I'm glad to see we got you, in a stable connectivity environment here.
Yeah, it's funny how my office internet thinks StreamYard's something foreign, something dangerous. So I had to rush home and get here on my home office setup. But
I don't know if it was so much StreamYard. It's probably Lyndon and his posts on Facebook that
it is. It's all my fault. I've been flagged by Facebook, YouTube, everybody. They all hate me.
Well, we appreciate you doing the old end around and running from the office back to the home office. So
sure.
Thanks for doing the logistical juggling, and glad you can make it on the show. So what I'd like you to do, Matt, is just give a little bit of background on yourself, how you got into the business, and then we'll talk about your business in specifics, and we can peel back the onion a little bit, share some of those statistics and some of those eye-popping things that always caught my attention with the long-term care aspect.
Yeah, so I've been in the business now for about 8 years, and I actually had no experience at all with retirement planning or insurance, anything like that. I was actually an enterprise rent-a-car, and so ended up starting here and started to build my business, and I started to realize over the 8 years that I've been here that there's a lot of people who need education, and a lot of people who just don't know a lot of stuff about retirement and what they need to have ready for retirement and the things that can happen in retirement, because you don't learn that in school anymore. It used to be that there's home ed classes. You learn how to balance the budget and write checks, and you learn how to open savings accounts, but they don't teach you how much life insurance to have, what you should have, how much money should you save for retirement, what's a 401k. They don't teach you that you can invest in real estate. They don't teach you any of this stuff, in school, and you kind of have to figure this out for yourself. They don't teach you about long-term care and how 70% of the population after they turn 65 will need some kind of long-term care, and that's extremely expensive. I see so many of my clients who unfortunately are getting in situations that they aren't prepared for or didn't even know could happen, just because they just didn't know. And so I've started to realize that 90% of my business is really education. So I love this opportunity to be able to talk on a podcast, because this is what I do all day, every day. If it's for individuals or small groups, just educating them. And usually there's something I can help them with, which is great. But yeah, it's been a really fun journey, just learning all these things that are out there, and bottom line, being able to help people, because my own family's been severely impacted by a lack of education, by poor planning. My grandfather went into a nursing home about 8 years ago, and he was in there for about 7 years before he passed away. And he had to burn through all of his retirement savings, and then had to qualify for Medicaid so he could stay in that facility. It was $10,000 a month. And now, he wasn't in Texas. It was Illinois. Texas is a lot cheaper. It's only about $7,000 a month here on average for so no big deal.
In that case, yeah. Who needs insurance when it's only $7,000 a month?
Yeah, but the problem was it burned through all of his retirement savings. He had to get Medicaid, which meant that they moved him to a different wing in the facility, and my grandma had to go over there 3 times a day to make sure he got fed. It was just not a terrible situation. And all his grandkids, we lost our inheritance from them. They had to sell land that his grandkids were supposed to inherit. I mean, it was nothing that they ever wanted to happen. And I say this, that's maybe a little bit of an extreme story, but it happens to a lot of people. I've seen it with a lot of my own clients, and other stories I could tell you in my own family. And so this has hit home for me. And so I really want to help people at least be educated on this, even if you don't necessarily take my advice or do something with the information I'm giving you. At least now you know. And I think that's the important thing.
Well, you said that might be an extreme situation, but if I heard that statistic of 70% of Americans at some point will need long-term care, I can't imagine that really is an outlier. That example that you said with your grandfather, that's what every time I've heard your showcase, and there's a bunch of other awesome information that you share during those, that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right? You're going to need long-term care at some point, and if you haven't planned for it, it's going to be extremely expensive, and it will have impacts that are larger than just on your net worth. It's like you said, your grandfather had set aside things to will down to his children and grandchildren.
Right.
And all of a sudden, that in order to live the last several years of your life, potentially, you have to wipe all that out just to make sure that you can maintain. Right.
Yeah. Do you want? I can share some of those statistics again that you like to hear.
Well, I don't necessarily like to hear them. But
okay, that are eye-opening. We'll call them eye-opening.
I think people need to hear them.
You're right. I say that was a bit of an extreme, because the average length of stay or the length of time people need long-term care isn't always, the average really isn't 7 years. And a lot of people get care at home, but my grandfather had a stroke. And so that's a little bit, more of an acute thing that occurred, but a lot of people maybe need care at home for a while before they ever even have to go to a facility. Some of them never even make it to a facility, but home care is almost as expensive. It's $25 an hour for a home care aide right now. And so, here's the statistics. 70% of people over 65 will need some kind of long-term care. And so what is the long-term care? It can be, if you can't do everything on your own at your house anymore, maybe you just need people who are healthy think, oh, I'm not going to ever deal with this. Those are actually the people who probably are going to need it the most, because they're going to live a long time. And then there's going to just be some of your body's not going to be able to keep up with it. Your legs going to your hips are going to get bad. You're not going to be able to do everything on your own. And then it can be all the way up to adult daycare, assisted living facilities, nursing home, even memory care, God forbid, if there's dementia or Alzheimer's. So that's all included in this whole long-term care discussion here, or what the cost can be. And it's every level is pretty expensive. And so 70% chance that you will need some kind of that care. So if you're looking at couples, it's 92% chance that one of you is going to need it. And the facts are that we as a country spent $1.1 trillion last year on long-term care costs. To put that in perspective, the federal budget for the military, that's all the military bases, the aircraft carriers, everywhere around the world, was $650 billion. So this is $450 billion more than that is what we were paying for facilities and home care aides and adult daycare, wow, things like that. It's just it's like mind numbing. It's like, wow, I can't even fathom $1.1 trillion. And it's the number one reason for bankruptcy after 65. It's the number one expense that you will have in retirement. So I'm a financial advisor. I do financial planning. I do other products, other insurance things. But for my average client is actually 55, 60, 65, in that range. And this is like the first thing I talk to them about. And every financial advisor should be talking to their clients about is this, because this is the number one thing that can mess up the whole retirement plan. Even if you get your real estate, you got your investments set up right, you feel good about that. Can you really predict a $10,000 a month? I mean, you think about what it could be 20 years from now, $15,000 a month cash flow that you're gonna have to come up with. That can mess up a lot of things. And so even if you do have a lot of assets, I get some clients who are more wealthy and maybe want to self-insure for this. A lot of them, when they start to see the numbers and the statistics, they're like, whoa, this is a smart business decision to plan for this, just because in the eventuality that it could happen to me, because I don't want it to have to pull money from things that I wasn't wanting to pull money from at that time. And, there's just so many variables that you can't think of. So this is one of the first topics I talk about with new clients and new people, even if they're, wanting to look at other things. This is one of the things I bring up first.
Gotcha. Well, there is one tease that I'll put out there. What I'd like to do is just pause. So number one, thanks for sharing those statistics, Matt, because again, it's mind-boggling just how much we spend as a society on long-term care. It's as much as the government provides for, healthcare later on in life. There's a lot of gaps out there, right? So thanks for sharing that. Let's pause real quick, because I do want to get some information and airtime out for our sponsors. I do want to tease out, though, let's talk about, the timing as to when you can get this coverage, because I know it doesn't exist beyond a certain point. So we'll jump back and talk about that. Let's talk about sponsors real quick, though. Lennon, throw up whoever you want. All right, we'll talk about Carrie first. All right.
Ladies first.
Ladies first. We are true gentlemen, at least in some things. So I want to talk about Carrie. Carrie is an awesome real estate agent. I mentioned earlier the market's crazy. It is. If you need somebody to help guide you through the craziness, Carrie is your gal. Carrie's with the Cavalier Realty Group. You can reach her at 972-342-5763. She can help you list your property. She can help you find one. finding a property and actually winning a bid is rather difficult right now. I spoke to Carrie yesterday, as a matter of fact. So she represents all clients, like I said, listing, buying, also on the rental side. So we were trying to marry up some potential synergies there. But Carrie's awesome. She's focused on her clients. She will go the extra mile for her clients. So please, if you're at all thinking about potentially taking advantage of this seller's market and putting your house on the market and maybe renting for a year, which is a very common situation right now, for either people downsizing, upsizing, whatever the situation may be, reach out to Carrie. She can walk you through what her process is to market your property, give you a very good idea of what the strategy would be to put that property on the market for and what the listing price would be. And oh, by the way, things are going for way over list now. So if you're thinking about selling, reach out to Carrie, again, with the Cavalier Realty Group, 972-342-5763. And her husband, Daniel, owns and operates Cook DFW Roofing and Restoration. So if the property that you already own has a roof that needs to get looked at in hail season, Daniel's your guy. He will come out and give you a free estimate. Take a look at it, and really, I say free estimate. He will give you a free assessment. It's not an estimate. It's a honest look at what your roof condition is, and he will give you an honest opinion as to whether or not you have enough damage to open a claim. A lot of roofing companies are going to be, mobbing the area now because we are in hail season in Texas. So what you want is a reputable, trustworthy roofer taking a look at your property. Cook DFW is that company. So reach out to Daniel, 1-833-COOK-DFW on phone. You can see his website scrolling at the bottom. It's www.cookdfw.com. He's got awesome pictures. He's got some drone technology that's great. And again, really what you want in that business is a trusted advisor, and that is the role that Daniel will play for you. So reach out to Cook DFW Roofing and Restoration if a hailstorm does come through, or if you just think, I haven't had a roof replacement in a long time, I need an assessment, call Daniel. He'll come out and take a look. And then finally, we've got Liberator Health Insurance. Mr. Greg Holdberg offers a very unique alternative to the big box plans that are out there on the Obamacare market. His offering is really unique in that it allows you as a consumer to make choices. You can go to whatever doctor you want, whether they're in network or not. There are different plans that he has and different networks that he offers, but all of them offer you the opportunity to go to whatever doctor you choose, and you can submit for reimbursement afterward. It's not your PPO or your HMO, where you have to go through a primary care physician and there's a limited number of specialists that you can see. This offers you the flexibility to do what you want to do and what you need to do for yourself or your family. Greg offers a Liberator deal of the week. This week's deal, a family of 5 got great coverage for $595 per month. That includes a health savings account that you can grow and $5,000 in healthcare benefits. Personal story, I talked to Greg on his offerings this week, and we're trying to figure out what might be best for our family because we're sick of the situation that we're in. So more to come on that, but the alternative to your big box plans, for that alternative, reach out to Greg Holdberg at 469-573-4646, or you can reach out to him on his website or email address, which is scrolling at the bottom of the screen.
Awesome. And before we jump back in, I want to remind everyone that we are still giving away airfare and hotel for 2. And all you got to do, if you're a property investor, you own property, and you're interested in a property management company, no obligation consultation from my buddy Brian right there. Call him up. Let me get his information scrolling up here so you know where to reach him. Call him up, set a time, visit with him, let him tell you how he can help. If he can help, he'll tell you. If he can't, he'll tell you that too, but I'm pretty sure he can. He knows how to mow grass. He knows how to paint. He knows how to do a lot of stuff. So anyway, wanted to share that because we are doing that giveaway, and we are going to be doing quite a few more each and every month. So wanted to throw that in.
Awesome. Yeah. Call me. You get a free trip. Why not? We can, all we have to do is talk a little bit about what the situation is.
Brian doesn't tell you that he's one of the two that gets to go, though. That's the thing. So
yeah, well, Landon, you're not supposed to spoil that. Awesome. Well, let's jump back in with Matt. So one of the things, like I was saying before, the eye-opening things, right? So, okay, now we've kind of level set that it's a big problem for folks, or could be a potential really big problem,
Right.
For folks as they age, and really a potential burden on their family that is really, really difficult to plan for. But the numbers speak for themselves in that 70% of people are going to need long-term care. 92%, I think, was the number you said, of couples. The odds of one of those,
right,
one or both of those members of that couple needing long-term care, 92%. So, like I said before, it's not a matter of if, but when, right? So, the other statistic or fact that you got to think about in planning ahead is that you can't wait too long to plan ahead, because at some point the opportunity isn't there anymore. So
correct.
Talk to that a little bit, because that always caught my attention too when we spoke before.
Yeah, and you're right about it's a matter of when, not if. It really is, because this is the most used insurance besides whole life, and the reason whole life is a higher rate because everyone dies. So this is the next most claimed insurance product on the market, because so many people end up needing it. But the issue you can have, because I get a lot of clients asking me, well, can you do something for my parents? They talk about, oh, I know someone who's, it's really their facility is $5,000 a month, or they need, they're talking about it already, but they already need help. If you already need help, it's too late. Just like if you die, it's too late to get life insurance. So you got to get the life insurance before you get run over by the bus. So making sure you plan ahead is, and so the question though, even if you don't need care yet, do you have health issues that could already put you in a higher risk category? And so unfortunately, insurance companies look at that, and they look at your health situation. So really, I tell people the earlier the better. If you are in your 50s and up, you really should at least look into this for sure. I even telling people at least look at it as well, even in your 40s, especially if you have a family history. So me personally, I'm 31. I already have this for myself, this product, because long-term care insurance, because. And by the way, I guess I didn't realize I mentioned this. You can, all those problems I was talking about, you can protect yourself from it. There is an insurance product, the long-term care insurance for this. You can get this even in as early as 18 if you really wanted to. But I did this because of my family history. That was my grandfather who had the stroke. My dad had a stroke actually in his 50s, his early 50s. We were all shocked by that. I was not expecting it. The only thing he had was a little bit of high blood pressure. We were not expecting that. So if you've got a family history, even, your 40s might not be too early to at least look into it, because the premiums are significantly lower and you can lock yourself in. Because the problem I find with most people is not that they can't afford long-term care insurance, because it's surprisingly inexpensive for what most people think the premiums would be. But the problem is their health, as they can't health qualify for it. And so even though they have the premium, the money they want to be able to buy it, they can't. And so you're exactly right on that. It's planning ahead and making sure you look into this before it's too late. Now, I do have a lot of resources and things that I can recommend if people do, if it is a little bit too late, and if they need help, they're not happy with their facility, they're not happy with their home care provider, they might be eligible potentially from an income standpoint to get some kind of assistance from Medicaid, or if they happen to serve in a foreign war as a veteran, there's potentially some resources available, and I can help people with those. Or if they have assets, they have some assets that we could potentially help looking at protecting some of those, even if they can't health qualify on the insurance side. There are alternatives that I can go over with my clients. But the problem, like you mentioned, everyone thinks Medicare, the government's going to help take care of this. The only way this gets taken care of, the government only takes care of your short-term healthcare costs, your hospital and your doctors. They don't do anything for longer term. And unless you're very low income, and most people don't want to have to liquidate everything like my grandparents did to be able to get on Medicaid and have that. And you just don't get the level of care that you want either. So.
No, great points. And so, we do have to cut the show a little short today. So I just wanted to make sure that we hit on the highlights of, I guess you can call them highlights. It's a little bit morbid, right? We've covered a few key facts, right? Everybody dies.
Right.
70% of people need long-term care at some point over 65. 92% of people who are in a couple, a couple need long-term care. So it's a little morbid. It's a little
right. Yeah.
negative connotation there, but the facts are the facts. So I appreciate you putting a little bit of spotlight on those facts and the fact that you have something in your arsenal. And really what is best about you, Matt, is what you said earlier, the fact that you're here to educate, right?
Yes.
You're on the show to educate. But more importantly, when you meet with clients, it's more about education. It's not about trying to, sell them something that, they need, but it's more education, provide the facts, and really help people. And that's what your main goal is. And that's what I wanted to make sure that came across today on the show, on a very important topic that, you hear about it, but you don't really realize just how big of an issue it is until you hear some of the numbers.
Or until it's too late.
Right, exactly. So I appreciate you coming on the show today, sharing that information. You've seen the information and Matt's information scrolling on the bottom of the screen. One more time, Matt, phone number, easiest way to get a hold of you, whether it be email, website, throw it out there one more time.
Yeah, it's 512-909-5104.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks again for being on the show today. Thanks to all our sponsors. As always, we appreciate you and we appreciate your partnership. I am going to go back and do my day job with property management or painter. I don't know which hat I'm wearing. It's different every day, every hour, but I'm going to go do some manual labor. Lendon, thanks as always for everything you do for the difference and with the difference. Until next week, I guess. All right, we're still 1 to 2 slot next week, Lendon, right?
Still 1 to 2 until May. In May, we're switching to 2 o'clock, and we'll be explaining why that's going to happen here very, very soon.
All right, good. Though that's a good tease for the future. But next week, I'll see y'all at 1 to 2 p.m. on Thursday. Until then, have a great week and weekend. Later, guys.